Greetings, technology enthusiasts. I am Chandrahas and I am delighted to be here with you representing CyberBrainer. Do you not believe that the technology sector is advancing at an unprecedented rate, making this an opportune moment to acquire the skills that will facilitate your progress? With CyberBrainer, we are empowering you to take control of your own future. At CyberBrainer, we do not merely impart your interests. We assert that information is power, yet it is the application of knowledge that distinguishes you. Our courses are meant to equip you with essential skills, whether you are pursuing data science, understanding artificial intelligence, or delving into cybersecurity. Let us commence the session and seize the future today. Thank you.
End user, and is there anything with who is a kind of who uses learning for themselves? No, who uses, I can say kind of learner. Learner is a kind of end user who can use Workday learning for themselves. And enroll my team. Enroll my team is a specific access that is provided to all people managers, employee managers. Enroll my team is a kind of one worklet that will be available for all the managers. It comes by default with manager role. These are the kind of dashboard and it will be giving a kind of worklet. Enroll my team is a kind of item where we'll be providing only to managers. For all the manager roles, this enroll my team kind of option will be available. When they click on this, they'll be getting into browser learning content screen where they'll be able to select that particular course and assign to the team members. Only the team. They'll be not able to assign course to other team members. People who are reporting to that particular manager will be having access to assign any kind of courses to their team members. It's a kind of option where you can enroll your direct reports into learning program. You'll be a kind of, when you're going for learning certification, there will be a kind of question. What is an option that will enroll your direct reports into learning program? This could be mass enrollment. Enroll my team campaign survey and instructor. Instructor, person who takes care of teaching, who takes care of administering the course, attendance grades, marking grades, and all will be called as an instructor. For every course, there will be instructor. And whenever you're creating a course, you'll be picking the learning instructor and submit the course creation or not. You can naturally dump all those. Let's say if you're moving from success factors to Workday learning. First, you'll be picking all the learning instructors that are available in success factors and dump them into what they're learning. And whenever you're creating blended course, whenever you're creating any kind of learning program, its system will ask you to select the instructor because blended courses are instructor-led trainings. Whenever you're creating blended courses, system will ask you who is the instructor that you wanted to select for this course. You'll be selecting that particular instructor. Whoever I know, you'll be getting a list of instructors. Because you already dumped the list of instructors into what they're learning. In the list, you'll be getting the list of all the instructors. You'll be selecting the one who is intended for the particular course that you're creating. And then, once you submit, your course will be created with the instructor. Instructor is nothing but who takes care for teaching, who takes care of administering the course offering, including attendance, grading anything. And you can also have assessors who takes care of assessing the candidates, assessing learners, and all that. There will be another option called assessors who takes care of assessment, in care of giving kind of learning credits based on the assessment. And all assessors will be taking care. We also have an option to select assessors as well. Similar to instructor, we also have an option to select assessors. And you can have even assessors configured while you're creating a course. And coming to Learning Administrator. Learning Administrator is a kind of super user in learning. Without Learning Administrator, you cannot access anything if you're not end user. You're taking this training as part of, since you're part of a Success Factors learning team and since you're switching to Workday Learning. You wanted to know something about Workday Learning. And when you're in system as a kind of learning admin, you should be able to perform all the administrator related actions to all learners. Learning Administrator is a kind of super user. Then administrator can create course, can inactivate course, can create a program, can create a campaign, can create a survey, anything, can create instructors, can add instructor to the course, can create topics, can create a learning related security segments. All these things in a learning administrator should be able to create. Learning Administrator is a kind of super user of Workday Learning who can perform all the actions related to Workday Learning. It is a kind of security group, user-based security group. There are types of security groups. First thing among those security groups is a kind of user-based security group which is assigned at user level. You're an employee. You're a kind of Workday user as well. And in order to give you access to take care of all learning related activities. If you are a learner, if you are an end user of a learning system, you will be provided learner access that you can take training, you can enroll into the training, you can take those trainings and all. But if you are provided with learning administrator, which means that you can perform all the learning related administrative activities in the system. When you are assigned with Learning Administrator User based security group, which means that you have full control in the learning system. You can perform any action related to learning. You can create dashboards. You can assign, any kind of item to the dashboard, and you can create anything related to course lessons. You can dump in, medias. Medias are nothing. But when you're uploading a Chrome files into the Workday system, you upload medias into Drive. You can pick those medias into course while you're creating and create a course, submit the course, anything related to learning, loading courses through EAB. All these activities you should be able to perform when you are assigned with learning. Administrator Security Group. They can perform any kind of configuration. They have access to perform business process configuration. They have access to deal with any kind of core learning configurations. Anything related to that learning administrator will be accessed. Learning administrator is a kind of troubleshooter for learning module. But most of the learning that I've seen are not aware of Workday Learning. Probably initially they'll be depending upon Workday developers. They'll be taking, Workday developer for any kind of configuration related activities, for any kind of business process enhancements, for any kind of security group related things, for any kind of, learning transactions like assigning courses, assigning campaigns, triggering campaigns, all these things, learning administrators initially after implementation will be relying on Workday developers, and once they get adjusted with complete system, they'll be taking care of their activities. Learning administrator are kind of, controllers of learning system in our organization. And lesson. Lesson can be a part of a large course, that you will be creating, or a standalone also. It's a part of every course that you create. When you create a course, if you wanted to attach a lesson to that, you have an option to attach lesson. Or if you wanted to attach a media file in the sense a recorded file, a video file, If you wanted to attach a kind of video file where learner, once they click on the link, a video will be played and all. You can attach a media file, you can attach a lesson. You can attach, any kind of survey to that one if you wanted to trigger survey to employee how the course has been and all. You can get those surveys to employees. You have an option when you're creating digital course or blended course, whether the course should have a lesson or course should have a kind of a media file or course should have any kind of media files and all. You should be able to create those things whenever you're creating a course. Lesson is nothing but a part of large course or a standalone or can be. It can be a kind of standard lesson in work. The learning will not have any kind of other options. If you wanted to attach any kind of media file, if you wanted to attach any kind of instructor, if you wanted to attach any kind of assessors, you will not able to do that in a lesson. Lesson must be part of a course. It can be standalone. But all these options like expiry date, waiting list, capacity and enrollment, if you wanted to open it for enrollment, all these options will not be available. It will be a kind of plain standalone lesson. When you create a digital course and when you assign media and submit it, it means that you have created a course. It means that you have created a course, and now if you wanted to assign this to an employee, you need to go through a campaign or you need to go to enrollment, mass enrollment. Or if you can go to that particular course and related action, push it to a learning. Employee can do through enrollment, you can do through campaign, you can do. Once you create a digital course, it means that it will be available in learning catalog. You can pick the course and you can push it to employee. And digital and blended, you already know the meaning. And digital is nothing but a kind of virtual courses, which can have recorded videos or any kind of Webex or Webex kind of trainings, and it can perform digital course. And blended courses are kind of instructor led trainings, and blended courses will require a kind of instructor in the training, and it can be included with assessors. It can be included with instructors and all in blended courses, and that's how you create blended courses when you deal with the kind of instructors and all. And programs is a mixture of all the courses. You can bundle all the courses into your program and make it as a kind of single curriculum and assign this curriculum to an employee or push this curriculum to an employee and make it a kind of enrolled category for learner. And when you assign this program to Workday Learner, it will be showing in their career profile saying that this employee, let me show how it can be. I think they have not configured learning for them. Let me see. Learning is not there. We are currently configuring generally for career, and if you go to career, you'll be having learning. You'll be getting here learning. I want to click on learning. You'll be having completions, completion history, in progress or not completed kind of status. Now you'll be seeing here. You have multiple tenant level setups here. You see here, if you wanted to populate anything related to core H, CM, M kind of settings, you can get into tenant level. Tenant level is nothing but top level, which is not related to module configurations, but overall not tenant level, what has to be viewed, what has to be populated or not. You'll be seeing at tenant HCMIM. And if you're working on any integrations, how integrations can be controlled, all those things you can set up in these things. Generally, when you're getting into any implementation of any module, there will be a kind of separate implementation tenant called prototype tenant, which is specifically used for that particular implementation. Let's say if you're implementing the learning, you already have 2 to 3 implementation tenants separately for your organization, which are using for implementation purpose for testing anything. But apart from that, if you are getting into any kind of implementation for learning, you have two options here. One is go for a prototype tenant specifically for this implementation period. Let's say for learning, implementation is going for 3 to 4 months of period. For that particular 4 months workday, we'll be granting you access for prototype tenant to perform your learning implementation. And once the learning implementation is completed, they'll revoke back this prototype tenant access and they'll take back that one. And that tenant will not be ever available. And this is one option that you can go. The other option is you already have 3 implementation tenants. In that 3 implementation tenant, you can decide any of that particular tenant you can use for this implementation and get it refreshed for implementation. And only that particular learning implementation should be ongoing in that particular tenant. No other transactions like integration, development, integration testing or BP testing or any kind of. As an example, I'm saying 3, but it depends upon headcount. Let's say if you're more than 1 lakh. You can go for 6 to 7 tenants and depends upon your usage and if your headcount is somewhere around 2000 to 3000. You can have 1 implementation tenant, no need of having the 3, 4 implementation tenant. Workday will be giving you a kind of guidelines. If your head count is between 3000 to 5000 number of tenants, number of recommended tenants, then it will be 3 or 2 or 1 for integration. 1 for the HCM, 1 for payroll, 1 kind of recommendations, Workday will be giving. Obviously, no one will follow those recommendations because in every tenant will be costed. Based on the head count, a tenant will be costed around, $90 per annum. No one will follow those guidelines based on their requirement, based on their business usage and business requirement. They'll be purchasing those tenants. Basically, you will be getting a production tenant along with production tenant. You'll be getting a sandbox, sandbox and sandbox preview. You'll be getting two testing environments with one production tenant as a kind of subscription. And if you're going with any kind of implementation tenant which is additionally charged. The more you go, the more you have to pay for that. These are all a kind of tenant setups at each area. If you wanted to configure any kind of notifications, or if you wanted to stop any notification that are triggering from Workday, you can control those configurations here. And if you wanted to control any kind of integration set up here, you can go with here. Anything related to HC, we have all the modules in HCM. You have learning, you have talent, you have anything. All those module setups will be available for you here. Here's staffing, job requisitions related to recruiting, benefits, compensation, talent, payroll, interface, time of learning. All the modules of HCM will be available here, and you can all the learning related configurations you will be getting here. We'll be seeing here what needs to be checked, and all will be seen here when we get into in-deep effort training. Core HCM is a kind of tenant level setup where you can control all the module kind of activities and all. I'm just trying to show you the company logo where you can attach your name. What you're asking? You're asking notifications. This is where you can send if you wanted to send any kind of notifications. Now notifications are straightforward. It will be sent to every employee. Now, if you wanted to restrict the employee, restrict any notification. Let's say you're configuring any alerts or sending any kind of campaigns. You're testing that one. You don't want those to be sent to an employee. In that area, what you'll be doing is it will be selecting this and you'll be giving your email address or something in a test email address that you're having. It will be giving that particular email address here, that all those notifications will be directed to this email address where you can test that notification body part, how notification is triggering, whether all the content that you have in the notification is intended or anything is missing. You will test that one by getting in this configuring any email. And then once you make sure that everything is going good in testing environment, you will be doing like this. But in production, you'll not do like this. In any sandbox tenant or any implementation tenant, while you're testing anything, you'll do this one. But in production, it will be like this, and notifications will be automatically triggered to employee based on this configuration. You will be giving the deal of all organization kind of things or employee as self. You will be giving here that email will be triggered to all them. For each model, you have different categories to send the kind of notifications. For learning, you have the learning campaigns, external learning, external enterprise learning campaigns, expiration periods. External enterprise campaigns is nothing but learning campaigns. You will be assigning to learners and external enterprise campaigns. You'll be assigning to contractors or contingent workers who are not an employee in Workday but still, undergoing some learnings as per our national standards. Let's say that if there is a third party that is associated with our organization who has to go with some compliance rules, you know that your organization has set up. You cannot create an employee profile for that third party agency. In that scenario, what you'll be doing is you'll be creating extended enterprise profile for that. You know that third party agency. And you'll be assigning some kind of compliance courses to that agency to be as per our nation's standards in completing all the compliance courses and all. Learning expiration. Basically, you'll be setting some expiry rules, for some kind of validations in business process. Let's say employee is getting terminated. If employee is getting terminated automatically, their learning account will get expired to those learning accounts. The notification shouldn't be triggered, or the notification should be not sent to their inboxes. Let's say most of the cases are, in based on some organization requirement. Let's say I'm a kind of manager and I'm getting terminated today. And by default, my account should get expired by end of today. But since I'm manager, I'll be having a lot of requests in my inbox. What people will be doing is, I'll be getting terminated today, but they'll make some changes to my, Workday account not to expire today, but they'll make, to that account available for 1 or more 2 days to access all those tasks that are sitting in my inbox to see if there are any approvals that needs to be approved. This is inbox. If there are any tasks that are sitting in my inbox, all my report is, their performance things, the time of things, all those approvals are sitting in my inbox. If I have to take an action on my termination date, I'll be not able to take. Once the termination event is triggered, probably that particular day I have to move out of the organization. And in my absence, my manager will be taking care of this Workday account for another, 1 or 2 days extending the expiry of my account. And my manager will be taking care of all the items that are sitting in my inbox. He'll be addressing all the items that are sitting in my inbox in that particular scenario. For all learning expiration periods, any kind of notification that should not be triggered to terminate employees. You will be setting this checkbox here. But terminated the account. All the intended notifications, alerts and all that will not be triggered. That there will be no action for any person to take action that is sitting in the inbox. Or if you're seeing any pending inbox items, when the employee is getting terminated and account is getting terminated, administrator will be getting a kind of alert saying that there are pending items in this employee's inbox. Terminating this account will lose all the pending tasks. Any kind of message will be triggered. The kind of message will be populated. If our tasks are gone, the actions will not be taken. What people will be doing? They'll be reassigning those tasks to another employee or manager, will be extending the experience of this account for the next 2 days, and will be taking care of all the pending activities, and then this account will get expired for terminated employees. In that scenario, you'll be using that checkbox. Got it. And this is about, tenant notifications. Whatever you'll be managing all kind of notifications, you'll be doing this. Tenant setups. There is another edit tenant setup. . Global is there. There you'll be configuring all the tenant related stuff. Basically, by default. By default, a buffer time will be a kind of 5 minutes, for a work day. If you're not if you're not performing any action and work the tenant for 5 minutes, it will auto log off. That is a kind of default setting. That Workday provides. Customers who go with single sign-on, they have a control there because the single sign-on is not through this URL. Based on that setting, system will be getting out of here, this thing. But by default, I can say before the winner, not using the single sign-on, you're getting into logins, screen of Workday and entering username and password and getting into Workday. That is not a single sign-on. No, that is, you're getting into Workday through username and password, which is not a single sign-on. When you log in that way, and when you are not performing any transactions for, a few minutes, like 5 minutes or 10 minutes, there is a buffer time. For time that Workday have, as per standards, 5 minutes are kind of time. That Workday defines it. And after 5 minutes, automatically your screen will get locked out of that particular Workday tenant. And then you need again pre-login with the username and password. But if it is single sign-on, it will be not under your control. It may get log out in after 10 minutes or 15 minutes, after 20 minutes. Anytime. That is configured in single sign-on setup page. That is about, tenant setups that we have seen, the programs we have covered. Offering is a kind of, date, time, and that kind of potentially location. In a way, your course can be assigned. And for all learning courses, you can create an offering and accordingly, you can make these offerings. To only make it required for instructor-led blended courses and location is only required. Kind of those things you can set up while you're creating offering. And when those courses are not, conducted virtually kind of things, you'll be performing these offering creations and all. And topics and surveys. Yesterday we discussed about topics. You were asking some questions. How can we access some kind of a restricted particular course? Only this group of employees should be able to access this course and others should not be able to access. That kind of restrictions will be maintained at topic level and will be restricting security at topic level. Whenever you want to create any course, first in the background there has to be a topic that must be holding that particular course. You have to keep. That topic is nothing but a group of learning elements that we have. All the learning courses will be part of this topic. And when you create course or when you're reporting, if you wanted to run a report which lists down all the courses that are under particular topic, you can run the report. Basically, it will be helpful for creating courses. It will be more helpful in a minute dealing with the reports and all. Topic is nothing. But with a group of which holds list of stuff, learning group elements, I can say, whenever you're creating a program you need to, your course will be associated with program. And now we know the last survey. Survey is very important category. And most of the customers, will not have a kind of survey to be sent through in a courses. They have a different kind of survey, kind of things. We have, where is the talent? Probably we have a task called create a survey, which will be directing you to survey screen and you can generate a survey from there. This is the most you know. Most of the customers will follow this process. They'll be getting into separate the survey screen and to whichever course that they wanted to have a kind of survey, they'll be sending survey notification. But most of the customers which they'll be not interested is while creating a course, you have an option of first create a survey kind of option. Like how we know you'll be creating media, you'll be creating a lesson. You also have an option to create a survey there. In that way also, you can send out a kind of survey notification, but most of the servers they don't want it to have a kind of survey to be sent with course survey as a kind of sublink. Create surveys at Astronaut, which will be generating a separate survey link to perform a kind of survey on the learning courses. That will be associated with 30 members. That's how we know you typically handle surveys. Survey is nothing but a kind of an unscored opinion poll that can be attached to a course, which will be taking feedback of the course. Anything. That needs to be adjusted. From the feedback that employees will be giving. You can take that kind of survey along with the course or through this survey link when you're attaching that to the course. What learning administrator will be doing is they'll be having the kind of survey link generated outside of the system. Probably they'll be having a different survey tool. They'll be having all those questions and that survey link will be attached to the course. And when you submit the course or push the course to an employee, they'll be getting the survey link. When they click on the survey link, that will be directing to another survey tool where they'll be having list of questions. They can answer those questions and submit those surveys. In that way, we have all the features related survey. But some of the customers they'll be using different survey tool like SurveyMonkey, Survey Panda kind of third party survey tools most of the customers will be using, which they would have had all the content in that survey product which they don't want to switch into Workday. In that scenario, they wanted to have Workday take the survey to employees because other survey tools will not deliver to employees. And since in a Workday is a kind of a chart tool where it will be having all the employee information, you can send the survey information through campaign or through alert. You can send that information. For most of the customers, what they'll be doing is they'll be sharing third-party survey link through a Workday campaign through Workday notification. Please do like, share and subscribe to our channel.